Comedy Film Nerds Podcast.
But then, all right, so then a movie I when I left Kingsman, I was like, well, let me watch. And I watched maybe the first 15 minutes of Stronger, which looks good. It looks like it's Oscar contender. We're starting to get an Oscar contender season. So, Ron, you saw it.
Yes.
What did you think?
I saw Stronger, and that wasn't my original plan to see Stronger. I was going to see Battle of the Sexes.
Oh, right.
But it ended up like I had a set Friday night in West Hollywood. Me and my buddy were going to go catch a movie after. Not much of a story. He showed up at the show because I was on later than I realized. I do my set. We walk to the theater down the street in West Hollywood, and we missed all the set times, so we just went to the deli across the street instead. But so I thought about Stronger because at the time my girlfriend had been out of town. She's from Boston area originally, Cape Cod, but she was out of town for a wedding. So I thought, well, I'll see a movie about Boston. That's where she is now. I miss her, huh? This is and it might be an uplifting move. No, it's not. I'm gonna read the plot description now. Okay, this is not gonna be an uplifting movie, but I'm gonna go see it anyway. I'm committed. So that's how I ended up seeing Stronger, and I liked it. It's about the the Boston Marathon bombing, and it's about an actual guy. Jeff Bauman's the guy's name. And he loses his limbs. And what I liked about it was it didn't really,
because it's based on Jeff Bauman's book Stronger. So that's then John Polano wrote the actual screenplay. Just to give everybody a little backstory. So Jake Gyllenhaal is playing Jeff Bauman in the film, right?
And I never read the guy's book. I mean, I remember it from the news, but I didn't remember those specifics of his story or anything like that. So it was kind of seeing it for the first time. As far as having a backstory went for me. But what I liked about it was that they didn't really like they made it clear that he was sort of dismissive of the I'm not a hero.
Right.
I'm not like, why are you guys celebrating this? And they almost kind of they showed that how that type of hysteria happens, and the patriotism and the nationalism but they certainly didn't celebrate that. I mean, they showed it for what it was. They didn't make this huge statement one way or the other, I felt like, but they kind of showed it for what it was, and they showed it more from his angle of just not wanting that spotlight. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It has changed my life forever. I want to overcome it, and I appreciate that you guys call me Boston Strong. This is my home. Thank you. But I don't want to do an interview with Oprah. I don't want to, like I don't necessarily want all that. But then he also evolves on some things. Like at first he didn't want to meet the guy that saved him. Like he just like, I don't want to relive any of that. But then he came around to, no, I should meet this guy. This is a part of me. So there's a certain like coming of age element to it, and some growing pains. And then of course he has issues with his lady friend, and then you kind of see.
Just to interject, but like and this is all from the trailer, so this isn't a spoiler, but you see in the trailer, and this is also like in the first 20 minutes that I saw, he's kind of a fuck up. He's kind of a Boston guy, fuck up, and they broke up because he's more about drinking and watching the Red Sox than being a good boyfriend, like he's a fuck up. And so this is like the starkest journey a person could go on to figure out to feel like they need to change and who they are and change themselves.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I want to ask you this. Do you feel like, Ron, do you feel like because there's going to be some Oscar nominations coming out of this movie for maybe Jake Gyllenhaal and maybe the girl, or do you feel like it's just a good film, or?
I could see the actress getting a supporting. It's so focused on him, and I could see him getting the Oscar nominee.
Right. So it's the performances are really good.
Yeah, I mean their performances were really good. His performance, just showing, just the whole like you could relate. I mean, not relate firsthand, obviously, but you could imagine the actual pain this guy was going through. I mean, in the scenes
You
where
had an emotional connection.
yeah,
with it,
like
for sure.
especially like the scenes where he was going through physical therapy and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, that would be
Brutal.
what that's like, and just the way he's straining like his torso to try to, move around.
You have to relearn your entire everything.
You have to relearn everything, and you have to realize you're doing this without legs now. And the way that actor portrayed it, it was very, you could really feel it.
It's interesting too because the director David Gordon Green, I mean, he did Pineapple Express. He did.
Yeah, you wouldn't think he'd be the
Sitter,
first choice.
He did Joe. I mean, like Our Brand is Crisis, and then, he's done a fair amount of TV. Vice Principals and Red Oaks and stuff. So, yeah, I wouldn't pick him to do this, but it seems like he did a pretty solid job, right? As a director, you feel?
I liked it. I mean, sometimes films like that, like film, and when I say like that, I just mean based on
True
historical
story.
events. Sometimes you almost feel like the family or whoever just sort of paid off Hollywood to tell this certain story. Like I'm thinking of something like what was The Blind Side, about that football player. I mean, that was just a ridiculous portrayal of events that just painted this family in this like altruistic.
Either the family did or Hollywood goes, oh, we want to tell it this way.
We want to Hollywood it up.
Well, yeah,
and
we
it
want to
was-
leave this out or whatever. And the thing to that point, like,
That key word, based
Yeah.
on a true
Ba-
story.
Yeah.
so
I
they
mean,
just take a lot of liberty. But like one of the things that I thought was accurate when it first happens and the whole family, there's a scene, the whole family is in the ER and he's lost his legs and they're arguing with each other. They're fighting with each
Yeah.
other. It's not everyone, because, in a crisis like that, some people rise to the occasion. Some people lose their shit. And I can't blame anyone for losing their shit. Like there's no playbook for like, oh, your son or your, your best friend or your brother or whatever has lost his legs. And his boss from Costco comes in. And they just attack. They're all
Yeah, they
Boston.
attack the guy,
You get the fuck out. What are you saying? You got a scam? You got a lawyer? You fucking. They're all jumping down his throat, and you're like, it felt very real. That was an area where, and again, I haven't read the book, but where I could have seen Hollywood, like, showing the whole family rallying around.
Right,
And it's like,
yeah.
that's not what happened. That's
Yeah.
not the humanity of this.
They could have made it some overly sentimental cheese fest. They certainly did not do that. They told like the visceral story. And I felt like the whole cast did a really good job. And there were elements of humor relief in that too.
Sure.
I mean, the scene you just referenced, there's also like, and I don't want to give away too much of the film, but like, at the end, when they find out that the manager's not a bad guy,
Right.
They're just like, what'd you bring? What'd you bring in
because
that
he
care
brought
package
food.
there?
He's
'Cause he
brought-
brought food for everyone.
And they thought he was a
So-
reporter. That's what they do. They bring in food to trick you. And then he kind of lays out why he's actually there, and he's actually there to help. And they're like, oh, yeah, thanks for the muffins. Like,
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, too. It was an accurate portrayal of a sort of blue-collar family. They're not going to walk up and go, hey, we're going through a real tough time. I'm sorry. They're going to, oh, yeah, all right. Like
Yeah.
Now, how was like the pacing and like the tone of the movie? Like, was it well put together, or were there places where like when Graham's watching Kingsman, you could have taken that out, or that didn't need to be there, or that didn't fit? Like, how was it put together as a film?
You know what? I felt like there was just the right amount of touch of, because you would have flashbacks in a movie like that, right, where he goes back to the event.
Right.
They really didn't overdo that. They showed examples of when he was probably, when he had his biggest bouts with PTSD. And what that was like. He would lose his temper. He would, they would have little tidbits that really told the story from his side where, there was one scene where everybody's in the other room. They have small living quarters, and everyone's in the other room talking about how he's going to throw the first pitch out, and they're like celebrating, and they're yelling over to him. Meanwhile, he's in the bathroom just, trying to take a shit. And it's not easy for him anymore.
Right.
That's just a hard task that he ends up on the floor, and it's like so the kind of tone is there where there's this not that anybody in the family is necessarily ill-intentioned or that anybody's ill-intentioned, but that, what really happened to this guy versus the, kind of media response and where it gets, kind of mismatched and how something like that happens in someone's life. And so I was, it never lost me, and it never, and it wasn't too long.
Well, that's the thing. It's 25 minutes shorter than goddamn Kingsman.
Right.
Like there you go. This movie, like, there's no reason Kingsman needs to be longer than this story.
Right.
There's no earthly reason for this. So,
Well, no one had a magic lasso, though.
yeah, no one had glasses that could, get 4K TV or whatever. So that's interesting. All right, so I definitely want to check this out. And it's, so Joey McIntyre ran in that race. He crossed the finish line like 10 minutes or something right before the explosion.
Wow.
And, I remember talking to him about it, and he was like, man, it was really intense. And being there, and he's from Boston, and it was like how it affected him and his family and all that stuff. So that's, to me, why just the trailer and the 20 minutes I saw felt accurate, felt real, felt like it didn't get the Hollywood polish on it.
Right.
So all right.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw the movie with my cousin because I was in San Diego before the Jimmy Dore show, and my cousin lives in San Diego, so I saw it with him and his wife. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing this podcast. And, so I told him about it. And then so after the movie, my cousin just looks at me and he's like, well, if you're supposed to try to make that funny, good luck.
No, we can seriously talk about
Yeah,
it.
I was like, no, it's not like that.
That's hilarious.
I shot first.